Well, hello and welcome to Bingewatch, the podcast where we take a look at the hottest news, TV and film releases on streaming television platforms. I'm Hannah Fernando, the group editor of Woman and Woman and Home magazine.
And I'm Ian McEwen, writer on TV and Satellite Week, TV Times and What's on TV magazines. And today we're looking at the new releases for the week starting Friday the 23rd of June 2023, including Bridget Christie's menopausal all-four comedy drama The Change, and Prime Video's I'm a Virgin, a tall tale about growing up different.
We'll also be catching up with the Sex and the City girls in Now TV's and Just Like That, and taking a spin with Robert Downey Jr. in Downey's Dream Cars on Paramount+. But first, Ian, what is in the news?
Rylan Clark will host Prime Video's new reality show The Bar, coming up next year, and that's about a group of Brits who team up to run a busy bar on a Greek island. That'll be messy. What else is in the news, Hannah?
I wish I was there. And as yet untitled Apple TV Plus documentary, which will follow football icon Lionel Messi as he gives the inside track on his 5 World Cup appearances for Argentina. That sounds good. I reckon we'll both enjoy that.
Some good stuff again this week, and a pretty varied selection, I would say. We're going to start with perhaps the strangest of our 4 offerings. It arrives on Friday the 23rd. It's a new comedy series called I'm a Virgo. It's on Prime Video, and here's a clip.
People are going to try to use you and put you on display.
You're the Messiah. You said you'd come from a desolate place.
I'm not from a desolate place. I'm from Oakland.
Yes, a desolate place.
And when they can't use you no more, they're going to try to get rid of you.
FYI, Hannah, I'm a Leo. I don't know about you.
I'm a Gemini.
Okay. That explains a lot. So this is a very interesting new series. It's from the guy who brought us the film Sorry to Bother You, which was about a black man working in a call centre who becomes very successful when he's advised to use a white voice. But it all becomes very strange and surreal. Well worth catching if you've not seen it. Anyway, in this, it's a rather kind of fable-like show, I would say, because it's all about this young lad called Cootie, played by Jarrell Jerome, and he's 13 foot tall. We actually start off, we first see Cootie being brought home from hospital as a baby, and he's already ginormous. So his parents hide him away in the house, and a bit like in Alice in Wonderland, of course, it's not long before he can barely fit in the house. He can't get through the doorways. So Dad builds him a sort of giant house in the backyard, but screens it off from all the neighbours so nobody can see. And so he spends his time watching TV, really. He longs to visit the outside world, but his parents say, well, you know, the world isn't ready for you. However, he does get to find out what life is like on the other side of the fence. Elements of this relate to the creator's own upbringing, because he was brought up in Oakland, California, where this is set, and he did kind of become a young activist. And when Cootie gets out of the backyard and out into the wider world, he starts hanging out with these young activists that he meets. So it's quite gentle, really. And what's nice about it is no one really comments about the fact that he's a giant, other than, oh, wow, you're big. But it's not as if it's something that's never been seen before. It's just kind of, people kind of take it as face value. His parents do. And when he goes out to the outside world, people are amazed, but they're kind of excited as well. So I've not really seen anything like it before, I must say. And there's also a kind of superhero element to it, because Walter Goggins plays this superhero called The Hero. But in a way, it's a sort of anti-superhero fable, because it's about someone who is very different, just wanting to fit in and be like everyone else. So I really liked it, I must say, and I'm interested to see, especially considering where Sorry to Bother You went. I'm interested to see where this goes next. So yeah, I enjoyed it. What did you think, Hannah?
It's a bit weird, isn't it? It's just kind of like you say, nothing you've ever seen before, although it's weirdly appealing as well because it sort of is the antithesis of everything else we've sort of seen previously. It's just, yeah, it's really hard to actually describe what goes on. But I think fundamentally, the sort of the thing that underpins this is the values and of acceptance and the sort of the good that comes out of sort of difficult situations. So I think it has a bit of a moral to it, and it's yeah, weirdly addictive.
Next up, I've been very much looking forward to this on Channel 4 and All 4. It's a new comedy called The Change, and here's a clip.
You're 50 now. Any irritability or rage?
Nothing unjustified.
Sounds like the menopause to me, Linda.
I've spent most of my life putting other people's needs before my own. I'm not going to do that for a bit, and it feels so great.
Yes, so the menopause is very much something that everybody is talking about. It's not a taboo subject anymore, is it? Thanks to the likes of Davina McCall et al. And why should it be? And I suppose this on Channel 4, this offering, it really just takes it down sort of another road of making it less taboo and talking about how women can feel, not everyone, but how the change, as it's titled, can change you as a human. And this is one woman's journey that she takes you on. When she's going through the menopause, she has these heart palpitations. She doesn't really know what's going on, goes to see the doctor, and he says, "You're in the menopause." And she's like, "What? How did I not know that?" And until recently, there has been very little discussion around, as I say, the menopause. It was a bit of a taboo subject. And the perimenopause, even that I hadn't heard of until relatively recently. And it's about equipping ourselves as women and not being embarrassed to talk about it. And I think this does exactly that, but it anchors it in a very relatable scenario, I think. So it's a 6-part comedy drama. She's very overwhelmed with her life. She's got 2 teenage children. She's got a bit of a selfish husband, Steve, played by Omid Jalili. And she goes to the GP because she's feeling just really run down, deflated on her 50th birthday. And that's when he says, you are menopausal. And I think it's just such a relatable scenario for so many women, sadly. She's the one that's sort of doing all the running around, holding it all together. And she just can't really cope anymore. And you see her go on a bit of a road trip on her old motorbike, and she's a really likable character. She's funny. It's quite gritty in places, and she heads back to her roots in the Forest of Dean, and she wants to unearth this childhood time capsule that she once hid in a tree, and she wants to kind of find out who she is again. But on this journey, she meets so many different people, and this is where the fun starts. And she sort of reclaims who she is rather than wife and mother, the role that she's been playing for so long, and just sort of feels completely drowned by. And I think it's a really interesting take on it, as I say, particularly, I mean, I work in women's lifestyle magazines, and menopause is something you talk about all the time, but it's something that until recently we've been really uneducated on. It's just something that women just have to get on with. And this brings it to life, I think, on TV. It brings it to life, and it finds the comedic part of it too. I think it will do a lot for the subject matter, as well as being incredibly enjoyable to watch. And I think that's for men and women alike. Would you agree?
I really liked this. I mean, I am a fan of Bridget Christie. I've seen her stand up. She is superb. And of course, she's one half of what you could describe as Britain's stand-up comedy power couple, because her partner is the great Stuart Lee. Anyway, I immediately liked this, and Jalili is quite funny. It starts at a family barbecue. It's her birthday, actually, and her husband's party trick is someone throws a frankfurter and he catches it in his mouth. And of course it's supposed to be her party, but she's doing all the clearing up. And there's this great detail. So every time she does a bit of housework or sort of a chore that's related to the family, she writes it down in a book and how much time it took, which I think is brilliant. She has the classic opening a cupboard and an avalanche of Tupperware falls out, which happens to me on a regular basis. But yeah, as you say, she takes off on her motorbike to the Forest of Dean, and there it all goes a bit quirky. Some familiar faces. There's a great scene in the pub where a character, Tony, played by Paul Whitehouse, comes in and starts trying to chat to her or chat her up, and she just gives this superb speech explaining why it's perfectly okay for a woman to sit in a pub on her own, read a book, have a pint, and not be bugged by random men. That is really well done. You'll also see Jerome Flynn in a rather unusual role. You're going to see Monica Dolan. So yeah, I loved episode 1. I really like Bridget Christie, so I was very excited about this, and it did not disappoint. We're going to change gear now, Hannah. See what I did there? Because on Discovery Plus, we've taken a look at a new documentary series called Downey's Dream Cars, which arrived on Thursday, the 22nd of June. And here is a clip.
The cars of the 60s and 70s just make your heart beat a little faster. As a red-blooded American boy, I wanted in. 42 years later, I had actually amassed a collection. I'm an idea man, so I enlisted a team of folks to restore my cars in ways that are less harmful to the planet.
6 episodes of this one. Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, Tony Stark. He's just so cool, isn't he? He's just effortlessly cool. And of course, he's so similar to Tony Stark. It's almost like Tony Stark is presenting. That's his character in Iron Man for people who aren't big Marvel fans. He's built up this great collection of classic cars, and in this series he's decided that he's going to get them converted to be more eco-friendly, which is a nice idea. He's just naturally very funny, talking straight to camera, very kind of sardonic and entertaining and unpredictable. He recruits some experts in car mechanics and sort of changing your car to electric or some other biofuel. He recruits them to start going through. He's got a very nice selection of motors. They're kind of from the 60s and 70s, starting with a great big meaty pickup truck, which he's going to have turned into an electric vehicle. And then, so you follow that journey, and then at the end of it, he takes it to an army base, and he does a challenge. It's a bit like, there are elements of, I would say, Top Gear / the Grand Tour, because it's a kind of wacky challenge with this car, and he's a very entertaining presenter as well. So it's certainly a kind of car show with a difference. And yeah, as I say, I mean, you're going to like it if you're a petrol head anyway, and seeing these great cars from the past. If you're a Marvel fan, you'll just enjoy seeing Downey Jr., who is just effortlessly charismatic. So, yeah, I really like this. Something a bit different. What did you think, Hannah?
Well, it's funny you should say that about Top Gear and Grand Tour vibe, because it really is Hollywood meeting them, isn't it? And he's so cool. He's, like you say, effortlessly cool. And it brings some sort of star wattage to what some people might say is a fairly dry subject matter. I mean, I know you and I both like things like Top Gear and what have you, and I suppose shows that have got cars in, but there's some kind of, funny narrative surrounding it, and this certainly has all of that. So it's not for just, yes, it is for people that are car connoisseurs, but it's also for people who like him and for people who want to be entertained, because I think it is really entertaining. And he's just a kind of natural. It just absolutely works. And the location and everything about it, for me, means that I would think it would appeal to the majority this sort of thing, wouldn't you?
I think so. We're going to end with something that I would say has got your name written all over it, Hannah. It's the return of the comedy drama And Just Like That. And here's a clip.
You don't move on because you're ready to. You move on because you've outgrown who you used to be. I've repurposed my kitchen. Did you know stoves aren't just for storage?
Yep, so this is the second outing for And Just Like That, because of course there was the sequel, which was a massive hit in 2021, the sequel to Sex and the City. I don't need to say any more. There's so much drama on screen and off screen around this, because if you're a fan like I am, you'll know that there's been a bit of a fallout between the ladies, or has there? Lots of column inches written about their relationship. And of course, they come back on screen. And this is, as I say, the second outing for this. So we've got Carrie, played by Sarah Jessica Parker. Miranda is played by Cynthia Nixon. And Charlotte by Kristen Davis. And we left it. So it's obviously been a gap since that first, since the first And Just Like That, which was... critics were pretty harsh on it, although the viewers were the ratings were high. But they actually filmed it just a few weeks after the second lot, but it hasn't gone out to us. So we left it with Carrie's husband, Big. He'd passed away, and she was scattering his ashes. She shares a kiss, and that's kind of where it ends. And this is just what it says on the tin. They don't do anything different this time. If you liked it the first time, you'll like it the second time. And this is just really exploring all their relationships again, and their complicated lives, and the kind of ups and downs, the roller coaster ride of all three of their lives. But of course, as I say, it's not just drama on screen; it's drama off screen, because one of the girls isn't involved in all of this, and people love to know what's really gone on there. Will we ever know? I'm not sure we'll probably ever know the actual truth. Their complicated love life. As I say, the first time round, the critics sort of went to town on this, and it hasn't got loads to it, but I don't think it needs to have loads to it, because people just love this concept. They love this whole New York vibe. Carrie loves her shoes and her bags. How many of us don't? They're in their 50s and they're living their best life. There's a bit of shock value in there. There's excitement. There's amazing, beautiful locations. You just want to be in their shoes. And so for me, thumbs up all over again.
Okay. Well, I was a big fan of Sex and the City. I really liked it. And it was a very groundbreaking show, wasn't it, in its day? So they followed it up with some not very good film spin-offs. So I wasn't quite sure how good this was because they're on a bit of a hiding to nothing, because obviously, years later... that the whole concept is quite a familiar one, of that, the style of that show. But anyway, I think if you liked Sex and the City, you will very much enjoy this. I didn't see series 1 of this show, so I was watching the opening titles for episode 1 of the new run, which are really good. It's all different women in their flats or apartments or whatever, and they walk out of the bathroom into the bedroom, and their significant other is there. So it's quite stylishly done. But I was waiting and waiting. I was thinking, okay, there's Carrie and there's Miranda and there's Charlotte. Where's Samantha? Kim Cattrall. Well, good news, because she is actually going to have a cameo role in this second series. The big news for me, Hannah, is that Aidan, the ex-fiancé of Carrie, played by John Corbett, he's coming back as well. And I could never understand why she preferred Big to Aidan. But that's just me. That's just me. And
Me neither. And I think the whole Kim Cattrall thing is the sort of elephant in the room, isn't it? But this is just a cameo, and they didn't have to be in the same room, did they, Ian, to film this part?
Okay. Now, it's one of those shows, like Friends, you could say, where viewers generally identify with one, but they can say, I'm like X. And I think I know who you will say you are most like. Is it Carrie? Yes, of course. Right. But yeah, I think for fans of the original, yeah, plenty to it. And also, I just think Sarah Jessica Parker, well, I love Cynthia Nixon, and she's absolutely terrific. I have to say, I kind of felt some of Kristen Davis's facial reactions were a bit OTT. But Jessica Parker, I feel she holds it all together with that kind of narrator character, which was the voice of Sex and the City, and that is still really works. Now we've got to that time, Hannah, where we find out what you've been binging on over the last 7 days.
Well, I don't feel particularly proud of this, but I'm going to say it. Love Island. I really dislike it, but anyway, I did. And it's less said about that, the better. And then also, Litvinenko is on ITV1 at the moment, and it's fascinating. How about you?
We're coming into the big summer of sport. Well, it's already started, of course, with the Ashes. So I've been glued to Today at the Test every evening to find out what's been going on. Now, we've just got time to look ahead to next week's offering. So what are we going to be talking about, Hannah?
Well, I'm definitely going to be talking about Idris Elba for many reasons. But he'll be playing a negotiator whose plane is hijacked in the Apple TV Plus thriller Hijack.
And John Krasinski embarks on his final all-action CIA mission as Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan on Prime Video. So we look forward to those and much more, but in the meantime, listeners,
Keep watching.